All right, so if you're going upwind, you can take a penalty just by doing a jibe. If you're on a downwind course, you have to tack. The way that I would do it, if I've just gone around the top mark, well, let's say I go and hit the mark, I'd go up like that and then continue. That would be the best way for me to do. You've got to get well clear of other boats. So if we're doing a downwind, and I hit the mark there, I wouldn't go down here on this line of boats, because whilst you're completing your penalty, you've got to keep clear of the world. So if you do hit it, it's best to, and you've got time in the rules to do this. So well clear of other boats, I'd probably go out here and then tack like that and come back down.
Ben, on that point of keeping clear, rule 22.2 I believe, when you're returning for an OCS, are you taking a penalty when you're returning for OCS? And therefore we try to keep clear of everybody?
The way that rule works, I get a red and a blue. Okay, so blue is OCS and needs to return to the starting line. Until the boat is returning to the starting line, they've got their full rights and obligations. If I was blue, I'd slow the boat down because I've got to keep clear of red. There's another, let's say, there's another boat coming through here. Here, I'm on starboard tack and I've got all of my rights. Here, I'm not returning, my boat is not pointing towards the start line or its extensions. So see, I'm just above 90 there. When I get to there, I'm returning to the start line and I must keep clear of everyone else.
So returning as OCS does count as taking a penalty. It's not just turn penalties, that's a penalty. Yes.
Yes,
so if there was a port tacker coming up, a late starter coming up on port, you're coming back on start, you have to get weighted in because you're taking a penalty.
Yeah, so it's when you are returning, it's not, it is and it isn't a penalty, as in like a one turn or a two turn penalty. Yeah. It's slightly different. But when this happens and you are returning to the start line, well, I'll get rid of this completely. There's a port tacker coming along here. I'm OCS like this. I've got all my rights. So I'm starboard right of way, even though I'm OCS. I go down a bit like that. This boat still needs to keep clear of me. As soon as I get below 90 degrees, I'm pointing towards the start line, so I'm returning to the start line and I become the keep clear boat. Okay, so we're coming on the reach. And you're this boat, you're faster than this boat, they picked all the right shifts, and what's this Division 2 boat doing in front of me, and I'm going to go and overtake them. You've got two choices, above or below. If you establish an overlap from astern, there's a limitation on you, it's Rule 17, that you may not sail any higher than your proper course. So you cannot luff this boat up like that. So you can't go, I'm faster, come in here, I'm going to luff them up like that until I go and then do that. You can't do that. Not if you establish the overlap from clear astern, and there's a technicality within 2 boat lengths.
2 boat lengths.
Yeah. If it's like, if it's like that, then you can. So it's outside these 2 boat lengths. The same applies on the run. So if you establish the overlap from astern, blue establishes from astern, cannot sail any higher than their proper course. This is a really interesting one because there are 2 rules that apply. Having said that, this boat is still windward boat and has to keep clear. So, and it's really fun, it is funny sometimes, that this boat goes and sails above its proper course. This boat yells, proper course, and doesn't move anywhere. And then we get to the protest room and the situation is, Remember we said right-of-way rules never turn off? This boat was still windward boat and needs to keep clear. So this boat is breaking rule 17 by sailing above their proper course, and this boat is breaking rule 11, windward boat keep clear. So they come into the room, they're both very angry at each other. I'm going to get this guy, been waiting all season for it, and they both get disqualified. I'm going to dive in here. I'm just going to talk about, it was an interesting scenario, and so I want to talk about the principles of the scenario. So this is the downwind mark.
Yes, downwind mark.
These are two, I'm not following your script. These two boats here. This is within the 3-boat length zone. Okay? So the marked room, these boats haven't changed relationship. This is the inside boat, this is the outside boat. So this boat has to give this boat marked room. And it gets worse when we've got the tide pushing everyone like that on Portsea Cup. That's the nightmare. This boat here, when these boats entered the zone, this boat was clear astern. This boat needs to give both of these clear ahead boats at the zone mark room.
No rights at all.
No rights. No rights.
No rights whatsoever. In this scenario, not what happened last week, in this scenario, you've got to give those boats room. So you've got to either end up sailing over there or slow your boat down.
Good, that's well done.
Last one, and that's the biggest issue that we have at Portsea Cup. I know everyone's been asking me to put more boats in there, but when we have this scenario here, and the tide, it's at the Portsea Cup, and we've got the tide, and everyone gets washed down, and all those boats go and bump gunnels, or you don't have to bunk gunnels to break a rule, but they're that close that no one can actually change course without immediately making contact. This boat has broken the rule. They're the outside boat. This outside boat needs to give mark room to everyone. Yeah, and if this boat has sort of wedged them in and has not left enough room, so if this boat was here, left enough room for green, then it's all green's fault. The boat that stops everyone moving out, you had this case of when you ran into South Head, wasn't it? Yep, just got wedged in. It's the outside boat loses every single time. The other thing is, if I was the red boat, I'd never be here because I'm going to lose friends as well. I wouldn't actually go this wide to give them all room. I'd slow down from this relative position because all these boats are going to end up here.
Wide.
I'm going to go out wide, and I'm probably going to come out there. So mark room, one of the smartest things to do sometimes is to just simply slow down. A couple of South Channel races ago when we all piled up at the South Channel pile up there, everyone stopped, it was racked up all like this. I was in the Jubilee, we took the spinnaker down, we pulled the main in on the run, and we let all the boats go past, around, and then we came out 400 metres in front of everyone else, just because it was going to be a pile up. Sometimes the fastest way around the mark is to slow down. And cheapest. Drew will be able to tell you this. You've got to hit the apex going around the corner. The fastest way around the mark, best VMG in and out of the mark, is to hit the mark on what would be the leeward side of the mark for your upwind leg. So if you're going around the other way, it would be through this here. And your best VMG around the mark is a long, slow curve, or it depends on the type of boat, but it's not, you're never going to turn the mark on the same axis as the mark. Your turn might be, this arc might be 40 feet, 30 feet, depending what the conditions are, the waves, things like that. And same, we touched on it before, the outside boat, to keep on the outside of that boat and go around bow to bow so that you end up in clear air on that side,
needs to go about 3 knots quicker on the outside, it'll never happen. So coming into that situation, you don't go around the outside of the boat. If you've got to give them room, on the bubble of the boat in front is the best place, and the low risk move is, chances are they'll end up down there and your boat slots in there.
Mark room. In this situation here, the boats are on, so we're going to the bottom mark. In this situation here, boats are overlapped, so windward boat, the rule is that they need to keep clear. Because they're inside overlapped, they're entitled to mark room. And mark room is room to sail to the mark and around it. If you're the giveaway boat, your mark room is to sail to the mark and round it. Sorry, so
you can push them up until 3 boat leads, then you've got to head for the mark.
if that's the zone, yep, that's your last chance, unless you overtook from astern, in which case you've still got your proper course limitation. It's different here. We've got 2 boats here, and they go for mark room. Okay, so they're overlapped because one's not clear ahead. If you're not clear ahead, they're overlapped. This boat is entitled to mark room, but it's also starboard tack. So this boat can go for the apex rounding. This boat has to give it to them. But if they're both on port tack, this boat is not right of way and cannot do that. They only get room to sail to the mark. There's one limitation. If you're the right of way boat, unless it's at a gate mark, you cannot sail any further than your proper course if you're taking mark room. That's rule 18.4, it's just a little one. At a gate, if it's a gate mark, that rule doesn't apply.
If we just go back to the reach really quick to your luffing thing,
Yep.
before we wrap up, we get close, Max. One thing you see week in, week out in the Couta boats, and I know Max and I discussed it yesterday, and Ben touched on it, rule 17, and approaching the bottom mark on the reach. Going back to your strategy, and the fastest way to get your boat around the course is the run line between the 2 marks. I did some maths yesterday. If you go 5 degrees above the run line to take another boat out in that course, you actually sail 25 metres further than the boat that does it in a straight line, so its best VMG. It's compounded by the fact that you don't sail your best VMG at this point and you're not sailing your best VMG at that point because you end up low and slow. So your 25 metres all of a sudden blows out even further and further. And through lots and lots of wonders on sailing and training, the fastest way for 2 points is like a NASCAR, on the bubble of the boat in front to the next mark. And it goes through things like strategically using a transit, same as the start line. As soon as you come around that wing mark, taking a transit through the bottom mark to a tree or whatever you can see on the land, not a houseboat, to make sure that you stay on that run line. And really making decisions based on, is that boat close to me on, do I owe it time, does it owe me time, is it worth luffing? You see the lead boat just sail away every time. Most of their time is made up on that reach where they're not getting caught up in micro battles because they're really, really expensive. And you can win a regatta on a hat full of seconds. You don't have to win a race to win a regatta, but you'll never win a regatta with a hat full of tenths.
Okay, a couple of quick things. Mark room applies, upwind finishing line, mark room applies. Or it applies at all finishing lines. It's only the start line that mark room does not apply. It's the same, if you're going for the pin, this, port tack laying the pin end of a finishing line, really bad strategy. When you finish, so you finish, and this is when the time gets taken, when the first part of the boat crew and hull and equipment in normal position crosses this line. To comply with sailing the course, once you've finished, you must clear the finishing line, which can mean up there and keeping away from everyone else. But in 3 knots of breeze, going into the tide. When you finish like that, you can drift back, keeping clear of all other boats. Down here, keeping clear of everyone, start your engine and go home. So you don't need to fully go over. It's your responsibility to make sure though
Something's going on.
that you actually got over.
Yeah.